There we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. We were talking yesterday on the stream how this song always gets us hyped up. So we're here with another episode of Learn It Live. Behind the scenes, we've got the team behind Relume Library. So we're going to get to chat with those folks. Joe, any thoughts as we open up here?
Well, I'm excited for a little bit of a new format here. We've been really testing out different models with this Thursday Learn It Live. And this is the first time we're bringing on guests to Learn It Live to go teach something that they've built. So I'm excited for this. This will be a cool one. And yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's get to it. So let's explain a little bit for the folks what Relume is. Let's go into this shot. Let's get rid of the background music here. And so, Joe, do you want to give just like a little quick overview? I mean, ClientFirst. For anybody who's watching who maybe is not familiar, feel free to say what's up in the comments. Everybody, we'll go through here in just a second and say hello to everyone. But yeah, Joe, give us a quick rundown on Relume and ClientFirst.
Sure. We built ClientFirst as a style system for Webflow. And this is something that we have built as a team at Finsweet. This is what we use at Finsweet, and we've posted public documentation for this. And Relume Library comes as a full component library built on the ClientFirst style system from an agency called Relume. So this is a really great way to building ClientFirst. We're seeing a lot of really positive reviews come in the community. People love this thing. It's easy to use, and it really gets you going quick. So you don't have to focus on building the layout every time. You can focus on the design. And you can create these beautiful custom designs through this component library.
Nice.
So it's a powerful resource for the ClientFirst community, for everything ClientFirst. We love to see what Relume Library has created here.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, let's bring Adam and Dan into the fray here. 1 second, let me unmute these guys here. We'll bring them right into the screen here. So we've got on my, I guess, what is that? I don't know. To the left side of your screen as you're watching it is Adam. To the right side is Dan. We'll let Adam start first. What's up, Dan? Say hello and maybe just do a quick little intro.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, guys. Dan, would you want to go first?
Yeah, we're super excited to be on. We're glad that we're able to spend this time with you guys to kind of go through what we're doing, but also just, break it down live as to why we did the Relume Library and how it hopefully can help you guys build quicker.
Nice.
Yeah,
Adam?
Yeah, hey, guys. So I am the person, I guess, that built a lot of the library, so I'll be able to answer many questions related to the library. And yeah, I'm keen to get into the weeds a bit too. And also to tell you guys a little bit about Relume and how we came about and why we chose to build this library as well.
Yeah, great. Okay, so before we jump in too deep, let's say what's up to some folks in the comments right here. Ahmed is saying he's going to use the Relume Library in an ongoing project. Mitescape, what's up? Bill is here. Greg Dolan is here. John Dunn, what's up? Greetings from New Mexico. Magdalena in the house. Gabe Perez, Dale Jensen, Edgar. What's up from South Africa? Ukulele. Let's see. And where are the Relume folks are calling in from Australia right now. So it's like butt crack early for them. It's like literally the sun's not even coming up yet. Michael Rose, what's up? Kayla Williams, WKD. Fernando is in the house saying, hey, Relumers. Albert Franklin from Toronto, Canada. What's up, Maria? Keith Armstrong. Ezekiel's in the house. David Carlson is saying, I started using this today, 10xing my building speed. Great. We're going to talk about that and the philosophy. So shout out to David for that. Babas is in the house. What's up? Keith Armstrong saying a couple of legends. I'm going to assume they're talking about Dan and Adam there. So let's see. Jay Poucher's in the house. Penny from Ontario. Relume literally saves me hours every day. Shout out to Vic.
Nice.
What's up? Heath Armstrong recently used it for the Flow Sparrow site. Great. Send in your sites. If you've used Relume, share them in the comments. Maybe we'll pull them up as we go here. So if you've built something with Relume, if you're like a Relume user, maybe that can be our audience prompt today. So yeah, share anything you've built using Relume in the comments, and maybe we can pull them up. Giro, I'm not sure how you say that. Hola from Switzerland. What's up? Mirella, Ukuli. Okay, I'm reading the same names again. John is here. Okay, that's it. Harsh shit. Okay, that's all. That's all the hellos.
Wow.
We appreciate you. There's so
nice crowd.
Yeah, there is a nice crowd. Let's see. There's 37, 54. Holy cow, on the stream right now. So let's get right into this. Let's start with the first thing. Like, tell us what Relume means. Like, where did you come up with this? What is Relume? Like, where did this even start?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So Relume actually means to rekindle a spark or a light. And so sounds quite romantic. But Dan and I have been, we've been working on projects for a while now. And Relume was sort of the project where we had launched a startup about 6 years ago. And after about 2 years of working on it, we sold that startup to a German company. And from there, Dan went overseas and worked in Germany, and I decided to stay in Sydney. And at the time, we were both working for companies, and deep down, we wanted to do something again and start our own business. So Relume's kind of like us coming back together and, coming back together and building a business again. But it was actually a name that I came up with like many years before that. So it was kind of just convenient that I'm able to actually create a narrative around it after the fact. So if you were to ask me like, what does it mean? It means that, but at the same time, it's just a random word that I could get a decent domain name at the time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Dan, anything to add there?
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much at the time. It's funny because Adam and I, before we started it, we used we went deep into Webflow so we could learn more experiences. Because at the time after we did our first startup, we didn't have any experience, or we didn't have any of the other deep insights to warrant us to go deeper into any of the startups. So that's why we thought the best angle in that scenario was to do an agency. And it's a fun fact, we've said it before, like we started off in everything. Like Adam and I were doing WordPress, we're doing Divi, Element, like every single thing. So what's really cool from our experiences without even knowing it, and probably comes through all the things we do now, is that we had a full range of all these web builders. So that really helped us kind of get a full understanding of what's available and what we personally use to make us build websites. So yeah, that was the most interesting experience, and we only really niched probably a year ago. And I was just kind of mentioning before to Adam, like it was almost a year and ago where we only niched into Webflow. And that was the game changer for us. And that's like, if you guys sort of notice yourself, like getting deep into the Webflow community is definitely something that, looking back now, was the best thing we ever did.
Nice. Joe, look like you're...
Yeah, and how did that change really influence the way that you handled this type of work? From a lot of people are saying, Relume helps me work faster. I'm able to work so much faster when using Relume. So I can tell that both of you think about this. Your workflow is trying to be fast, trying to be efficient, trying to not redo the same thing over and over. So when you found Webflow, how did that change your workflow from all the previous platforms you worked on? Now you have a different workflow. How did that play into the relationship with Webflow?
Yeah, Adam, I think.
Yeah. So I guess because Webflow gives so much power to a designer. So the fact that I could now actually build the sites and we didn't have to hand them over to a developer, and also the speed at which you can build on Webflow in comparison to some of the other web builders that we're using on WordPress, there is quite a big difference, but also like just the overall quality of the output was a lot higher too. So in terms of speed, it was a game changer for us, but also considering also the quality of the work as well. We were able to go to a completely new level, which was really nice. And I don't think that's possible in any other platforms out there where you can have speed and you can also have that quality. So yeah, that was like one of the biggest game changers for us. We almost unlocked, a superpower with Webflow, and that happened like right away. But also, I think another big benefit of Webflow is just the community around it. It was awesome to like be able to learn and pick up Webflow quite quickly, just because the community was so like giving in that regard. And like shout out to you guys at Finsweet. As we started to use Webflow more, we had you guys filling in the gaps on, from a knowledge perspective, but also from a tooling perspective. So I think we came in at such a good time in the community where things were starting to really flourish.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the Webflow ecosystem, but before we get to that, let's go just a little bit back before Relume, before Webflow, before agency. Like, what were y'all doing before this? Can you give just folks a little bit of your background? I mean, have y'all always been in web design? Are you, like new to the space? Like, are you like, just tell us a little bit, and let's start with, we can start with Dan.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny, like I think Adam and I probably wouldn't have ever kind of seen ourselves, or I personally haven't. So my background was a classic go to university because my parents told me to, so I did it. But at the same time, parallel to that, I was always interested in loving building business and everything like that. So that's where I started first working and created my first startup, which was just a clothing company. So it's funny how that flowed into what how I met Adam, because then from that I built up that business, had a good failure from it because of my production issues, converted into like a tech company, which was like a comparison website. So I had a startup which was like an affiliate based website. From there, I was able to raise money and then build up a team. And that's when I met Adam, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago. Adam came on. He was again at uni. Still, I think Adam was doing marketing, but yeah, at the time came on as product. And then from there, we started. We had a team there, which was really fun. We built that up, and then we had an affiliate-based business. And then from that, we went into the influencers to like expand our business. So from that influencers experience, we started to find a lot of crappy discrepancy between influencers. So we're like, this is interesting. So then we built an algorithm to determine who are the most influential influencers on Instagram and YouTube. Again, in our team, Adam and ourselves led that. And so that we've always been in that startup space. And that's when Adam was mentioning before. From that, we were lucky to grow that into a SaaS platform where people were purchasing analytics. And then from there, we were lucky enough to get acquired from a company in Germany called InfluencerDB. And that's when Adam, or people, some of the guys on the team stayed in Australia. I went to Germany and had an experience for about 1.5 years, which is pretty cool. Being from Sydney, we don't really get to travel that much. So then having to live in Europe was like an experience. But yeah, from there, Adam and I built up a really solid relationship of having been in sync, working together. And that's kind of why we went into Webflow, or we went to agency world, because we wanted to gain more insights again. Because we did like these startup incubators, we did these things where you go in, where you got to meet, have an idea, raise money, and then you can't just force ideas like that. It's hard to just get an idea to pop into your head. So we thought the best tool to drive insights is create an agency, and that's 100% the reason why we did it. And which is cool because at the same time, Adam and I have worked for so long together, so we've developed that relationship of back and forth, and we know where to push and pull, but we also know where we're both good at. So it helps complement each other building when we're building a company.
Nice. That's a great story. A long, pretty different relationship prior to going into the web world. You know, a lot of people in this community, they meet the other people through this industry, through knowing Webflow, but you guys really have a very different past. That's really interesting.
Yeah, we couldn't have planned it. There's no way we could have planned this, to be honest. And that's the best part, right? It just happened, but we'll obviously always have our eyes on the prize.
I think that's some of the fun of kind of what's happening right now is these these crazy little stories that you hear like this, right? Where people interact, you know, somebody's doing something cool, and next thing you know, they're like, well, I got something cool. And it's like, I call it like digital stone soup, you know, and we're getting to a place where I don't know if everybody knows the story of stone soup, but essentially this poor guy walks into a village and he doesn't really have anything. But he finds a cauldron in the middle of the center of the village, you know, and he starts like boiling water, and he's got like a rock in there, and somebody comes by, what are you doing? He's like, I'm making stone soup. And he's like, you know what would make it really good is like some carrots. And so the guy's like, oh, I got some carrots. And he so goes and gets some carrots. They come back. And so now there's two guys, one, you know, boiling the stone soup, and the other guy that brought the carrots. And another person walks by and is like, oh, what are y'all doing? And they go, we're boiling stone soup. And so like, well, it'd be really good if we had some potatoes or if we had some whatever. And so this keeps happening. And next thing you know, the whole village is like in the middle of the square, you know, making the stone soup, and they end up with this beautiful soup because somebody bought a little rabbit, a little meat, a little veggies, a little this, a little that. And next thing you know, at the end of the day, they got this beautiful stone soup. And I see this happening in the digital world right now, where like everyone you see something cool and you're like, hey, that's cool. And then they're like, yeah, but I could use a little bit of this. And you're like, well, I got some of that. And next thing you know, you jump into the fray, and like these little relationships, these little teams are forming. And that just gets real exciting to see what those relationships and what those interactions lead to. Cool products like Relume. Obviously, you know, there's that kind of vibe here at Finsweet. You see it all over in this no-code space, in the Webflow world. So I guess with that, let's jump into a little bit about the current Webflow ecosystem. Adam, did you have any thoughts that you wanted to add there on the background before we jump to the next one, I guess?
No, Dan covered it pretty well, actually. So
okay,
let's jump into the ecosystem.
Yeah, so go ahead and open us up here on the ecosystem. And if you're watching this and you have thoughts or you have questions for the team, we always do a good job of bringing the questions up, and so we'll do that too throughout the episode here. But yeah, Adam, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your thoughts on the current ecosystem, how this is evolving. What do you see the trajectory of all this leading?
Yeah. Definitely agree with your analogy of the stone soup. It does feel like that. And I feel like it's actually a good strategy because it's sort of like a win-win for everybody. The reason, I guess, the reason why we chose to build on ClientFirst and build the Relume Library, we definitely were thinking about what's currently out there, what's already being used, and how we can add to that. Rather than creating something completely different from ourselves. So in terms of the Webflow ecosystem, it's always exciting. I feel like there's a new thing that comes out every week. So actually, it'd be really cool to hear or share some tools in the chat potentially that you've come across that play into our ecosystem as well.
Yeah. Dan, any thoughts on the ecosystem?
Oh, look, it's just, I guess, on the current, it's growing, right? It's evolving, and that's the cool thing. And I feel like for the last, I think it's a year and a half, I feel like it's been growing quicker than what's been happening before. So I feel like there's a lot more resources, a lot more energy, a lot more community being put into it, which is like that's where the opportunity is happening, or that's where things are moving quickly. So that's why I think it's almost like the best time to be a part of this Webflow community and look into things to develop and to build.
Yeah. Joe, I'd be interested in your thoughts too on the ecosystem evolving here as part of this conversation. You know, obviously leading agency here in the space. You're at the helm of this thing. You're seeing so much in the world of Webflow. Talk to us about your thoughts on the ecosystem here.
I love how it can stack. The way that you describe this, the stone soup analogy where more people are bringing things in. Imagine some sub soups starting in there. You know, someone's got some ginger, someone's got some celery.
Some
Let's make a little
appetizers,
side. Yeah, let's make a little appetizer on the side. You can stack these communities and stack these ecosystems, much like Finsweet is doing in Webflow. Webflow is the outermost layer, and Finsweet is creating a community inside the Webflow community. And now we have ClientFirst, and this is something we stand behind. We're going to continue to build this. And now we're seeing a community form inside ClientFirst. And this is Relume Library. There are people who are already hardcore Relume Library users. So it's evident that there will be a community forming under this initiative. So this is now a community inside a community inside a community, but we're all part of the same community. It's like smaller friend groups and larger friend groups, and we can all hang out together. So this is really powerful, and this now gives both of us a lot of great marketing. We get to bring Relume Library here on the show, talk about this great product. We now have a fire resource that anybody can use when they come to Webflow and start to use our system. If ClientFirst has a lot of resources around it, it's going to be a lot easier for people to come and adopt it. And Relume Library is a big step towards having those really powerful fire resources.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is it's powerful. The community inside a community stacking ecosystems.
This just made me want to think of like the definition of ecosystem, because I think that's like you can't have an ecosystem if it's just one company or two companies, or if it's just you know, like just the product itself, right? Like the ecosystem requires other entities. It requires like you know, multiple dimensions of kind of what's happening in the space, you know. And so in my mind, that's what I see really evolving here, and that's where I keep going back to when I started in the world of web design. I picked WordPress because of the community in the WordPress world. And this Webflow community reminds me of that vibe 7, 8, 10 years ago, you know, where there was just so much excitement around this product that was enabling people to just create and put their ideas on the internet in ways that they had not ever been able to do before. And again, we've been discussing, you know, the open source versus closed source thing. And, you know, you can say all you want about Webflow being a closed source platform, but they're open sourcing the design element of it. Right, this Relume library kind of thing, this clonable component thing, this ability to just build something and let others have that and recreate and duplicate that. In my mind, that's the birth of a whole new type of ecosystem. We keep talking about this front end as a service concept, where I really think we're seeing the birth of a whole new industry, and things like this become part of that. Right? Imagine being able to tie these components to symbols and map that to the CMS, and now you're dropping in elements that you can, you know, just I don't know, right? Like, it just, there's lots of cool things that could come from this, and that to me is what defines an ecosystem, is the potential for things to grow and evolve. And I think that's like, we're just in that early stage of that. Any thoughts on that? I see we lost Adam a little bit. Let me, I'll go on that if somebody. Oh, he's back here. Hang on. Let me grab the link and see if we can bring you back in. I think they can hear you, but give me 1 second and see if that brings you back in there. He's backstage. There he is, back on the front stage. Okay, share your thoughts, Adam.
Yeah, sorry guys, I dropped out. What's really interesting is how quickly these communities can stack as well. Like inside of the Relume library community now, we have a Figma version of the Relume library that has been created by a group inside of our community, which is really cool because it's not something we had planned on doing, but it does fit into the overall process of building a site. So yeah, it was just really cool to see, okay, well, now we have the Relume library and we've created a community around that. What can come about from here? And we've already seen that happen, and that's quite a big piece as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just even like Christian here saying, I save so much time with Relume that I can now build websites for people that don't have enough budget for individual designs. So
Oh, wow.
right, so you can offer lower level sites at a lot less money because you're just ding 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 ding. You're just like
Nice.
plucking
Yeah.
these things together. So yeah, Christian, good point there. And again, that could be the thing that gets you to the place where now you have a portfolio of real clients that other people start to trust you, and then you can get maybe into that higher tier. We talk about this on the growth show all the time. Is like, how do you work yourself up? And using a tool like Relume can really help you set the foundation, get a lot of experience. If you don't understand Webflow, dissecting a library like this is a really good way to learn how to build these components, to see how the stuff is built. If you're learning ClientFirst, it's a good way to kind of reinforce the different principles of how to name all the different components, etc. And so, like, yeah, this tool opens up things in a lot of different ways. So let's talk a little bit about what inspired that. Like, why build a library like this, right? We talked a little bit about your background, etc. But I mean, this is a big component library. It's a big undertaking to do something like this and to make the commitment to say, hey, we're going to keep this thing up to date. We saw you launch on Product Hunt. You got a lot of love on Product Hunt. Actually, we could go to this here. We can pull up the website while we chat about this. But yeah, talk a little bit about what inspired you. Let's walk a little bit through this. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the actual library itself here.
Adam.
Yeah, so what inspired us, like Dan was saying, like we're an agency, and going down the agency path, we were able to, I guess, learn from a lot of experiences and form some insights. And I guess one of those insights was that we were building many sites, but also many components that were very similar. So it was sort of like an effort to help us improve our productivity, because there's only so many nav bars you're going to build and design. There's only so many hero sections you're going to build and design. And so we started to like build up the components once and then using them many times over. And then we wanted to take that idea further. And we have always had a product mindset from the very beginning. So we thought, well, a great way to provide value to the community and build a product would be to build a component library. And it was around that time that we were thinking about this, that you guys had just released ClientFirst, and we had been trialing that internally with a lot of our projects. I think I was using the beta version of ClientFirst. So at that time, I had started building a library using the beta version. So I actually had to rebuild the entire thing using V2. So it took like an extra 2 months or like maybe an extra month. Yeah, but it actually panned out to be it worked out to be worth it. And yeah, so that's sort of how it came about. It was something that we observed us doing to improve internal productivity and efficiencies. And then we were like, well, this would be an awesome product. And ClientFirst we backed it, and we believe that this is what most people are going to be using because it's helped us as well. So yeah, I guess it was helpful being an agency and actually knowing the pain points in the process.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and to Adam's point as well, like that's kind of like why you noticed before, Raymar, why people are noticing why it's based on speed, and why they are all noticing the speed aspect, because naturally, as an agency, your time is money, right? And it's our livelihood, so we need to be efficient as to how we're building or what we're doing. So that's kind of like why that speed element has come through, but whilst obviously still maintaining the quality, of course. So yeah, it's just interesting that I honestly don't think we would have discovered or done this without of being an agency first at all, because we couldn't have just woken up and said, hey, let's just build a component library, because we really looked at the job to be done here. The library really focuses on the job to be done. It's not just a random component library. It's actually, as you guys can see, is actually based on, I'm building a website from scratch for a client. So that's where we really wanted to kind of hone in on to make this improve the efficiencies of your actual agency. So you make more money, or you improves your time that you build your websites.
Yeah, can I dig a little deeper into this topic here and ask, like, when you're thinking about building this library, what are you looking at in the ecosystem? Obviously, you saw Finsweet starting with doing the client first thing, and that's gaining a little traction. So maybe that makes a little bit of sense. But then there's other like things like this. There's other systems. There's other like system flow or what's the Tom Becker's Flowbase. There's like these other libraries out there. And so like, talk to me about your process as you see some of that. Like maybe there's somebody out there with an idea that they're going to do something like this also in a different way or whatever. Like we talk a lot about providing value back to the community in order to kind of elevate your position. And so like, talk about your process, the decision-making there. How did you, like, what did you scope out in the ecosystem? Like, what did you look at as other people were, like what they were building, and how did that affect what and how you built what you built here?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can jump in here. So what's interesting is that in this way of thinking of building this, we built this internally first, right? Like, so we were using this for ourselves. So naturally, if there was something out there to help us build quicker, we would have used it. So of course, we scoped out those different platforms to see, because we're an agency, let's just find something, don't build it, just pay for it. So we did look out there to find, but they just didn't solve that job to be done. That was it. They just didn't really have that those features that we needed internally to build things from scratch. So they do an awesome job at obviously having styled components, which is Flowbase, and System Flow does an awesome job, but then it was based, like Adam was saying, we're kind of really backing client first, because working in an agency, you need to hand over websites to multiple different freelancers. So you wanted one consistent style system, right? So not everyone's on System Flow. So like, it's an adoption of client first with a combination of building from scratch without designs. Hence the reason why it's a small gap, but it's a gap that's needed from a product point of view. And yeah, so the reason, okay, so building it internally kind of didn't really even mean we didn't really have to kind of look at competitors or even really consider other people in the space, because we just built it for ourselves and it solved our problem. So we naturally thought, if it solves our problem, this is going to then most definitely help other agencies solve their problems of speed.
I love that mentality. We do a lot of that at Finsweet. We need something to work a certain way. If there is not a clear solution to go and pay for that, we're going to make it ourselves. And we've done that a lot. We're doing that for internal tools right now. We're doing that for internal workflows. So yeah, that's a really good strategy. First, solve your own problem. And if it's solving your problem, a lot of people probably have that same problem. And I think it's proven based on the way the community is reacting to Relume Library that it's solving their problem too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that as a starting point for what they try to do. Lots of people want to solve like some big problem, and it's like this big ethereal thing, and you can't really come up with the right solution because you don't know enough, right? I encourage people like when you start building, I just go back to my story. When I started selling stuff on the web to clients, I never sold anything that I didn't experiment with first, right? So like, I wasn't going to go sell a service that I hadn't tried to do on my website. If I was trying to generate traffic with some kind of marketing tool, or if I was trying to like use some new lead conversion thing or some kind of funnel, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like I would experiment with that stuff, and experimenting with it is what got me to the place where people started seeing me as an expert, because I started blogging, I started getting a lot of traction, a lot of attention online. So same kind of approach here, where it's like, solve your own problem first, and then eventually, like maybe that turns into a product or something you can take to the market here. Let's go to a few questions here. Let's bring in some of the questions here. I like what Spencer was saying. Ultimately, this collaboratively stacked ecosystem is a market disruption. And just like most of these types of disruptions, a lot of people won't realize it has even happened for a while. I think this is 100% what we're seeing. This is like the, Netflix is about to swallow Blockbuster kind of thing. in the WordPress Webflow world, kind of, you know, like this no code thing, not necessarily just Webflow, but no code in general, where it's just it's so big, it's so much, there's so much potential here that obviously this is what gets us so excited. This is why we're, as bakers and people kind of exploring this thing, we get so excited. But I'd be interested, yeah, Adam or Dan, any thoughts on that, like seeing the disruption happen, being kind of on the front edge of this and knowing what's coming behind it, that at some point people are going to look around and be like, where did all that come from? And be like, well, we've been here for years doing this shit, you
know? Adam, do you want?
Yeah, I feel like, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question here, but I feel like it's super early, and sometimes you don't know whether it's going to work or not, just because it's such we're a niche inside of a niche inside of a niche. So Webflow's a niche, and then Finsweet ClientFirst is a niche, and then like there's a component library inside of ClientFirst. Like it just becomes the fact that we've been able to, you know, build a pretty decent community already just shows sort of the disruption that it's causing. And I guess, yeah, I really feel like this is just the beginning of Webflow, the Webflow ecosystem. And yeah, it's growing, but it's still quite small, and the community is still very tight, and you sort of know people in the community. You sort of know everybody in the community pretty quickly. And those signs those are like the signals to me that this is going to be quite disruptive. Yeah. Dan, did you want to add to that?
No, I think that's
Joe,
pretty much on point.
Yeah, I'd love to bring back the ecosystem thought with this. And I really think you can look at this niche inside of a niche inside of a niche as our ecosystem concept. Think of a animal ecosystem. You're in a forest. There are trees growing. There's mushrooms growing. There's animals flourishing. There's animals dying. There's all these different things. This same thing happens in business, and it's happening in this Webflow ecosystem. So Finsweet planted a tree. There's some cool flowers coming out of that tree, and you know, when Relume Library continues to grow, that flower can be a life source to something else that helps something else that helps something else. And as you contribute more to the ecosystem, as your tree or your flower or your animal or whatever it is contributing positively to this animal ecosystem, it gets larger, it gets more populated. So this is the same kind of concept, and we can grow these ecosystems at any speed, really.
Yeah.
With the speed of Webflow, we can make ClientFirst huge, and Relume comes right there with us. Relume can be huge and help ClientFirst reach more people.
Yeah.
So it really relates both ways, the animal version and the Webflow industry version.
Yo, we're killing these analogies. Gabe, you out there watching, these got to get clips. We need a stone soup clip, and we need an ecosystem analogy about the animals. 2 clips for sure. Okay, more questions? Any thoughts there, or should we go back to the comments?
Let's go comments. There's a lot of good questions in here.
Top 10 anywhere saying, will you allow people to add to the library like how Flowbase has their own community components? And then that follows up with a little bit of what do they have for the roadmap of the future. So I'll let y'all kind of dissect both those comments as you see fit.
Well,
yeah,
Dan,
Adam,
do you want to take it away?
It's actually funny they mentioned that. Adam and I have been, and I believe it's live on the website now on our library.relume site. So what we are looking to do is open up contributors. So contributors is something where we want to enable people from the community to create components for the Relume library. So specific components. So from that, we believe that, again, Adam and I are big believers of building, I guess, like to your point too, Joe, like building a platform to people to flourish from us. So from our perspective, we think contributors will then enable other freelancers to contribute components and then be featured or be put onto our contributors leaderboard page, where essentially X amount of components that you create will then have you featured higher or lower on this leaderboard. But in the end, the most important thing is that it redirects back to you, your site, and your business, so then you can generate more leads as an agency. So our contributors is coming from our deep kind of understanding of building a product that's community focused. We really want to have a community driven product. I guess it's like tapping into that Web3 elements where it's community owned. So that's something where we're excited to launch, but that's kind of like the future of where we see going is obviously, we will be looking to having more themes and more components based on the current themes, but also having the contributors part of things just really starts to get everyone involved. And the things that we want to start doing is incorporating more voting and more feedback from the community to then build more components based on what people want and build more themes based on what people like the most. So we're excited to have the contributors. So if anyone's interested, you can sign up now and let us know, and then we're going to start featuring people on our website based on how many components that they're building.
Nice.
Yeah, just off the back of that, I feel like this is possible because of ClientFirst, because everyone's sort of speaking the same language here. We're able to. Nice. I think we're able to actually create a community effort here, because our goal is to grow this component library and cover every single component on the internet. Like, that's our goal, right? So I think that is only possible if we have a community effort and we can reward those who, the community can be rewarded for that. So /contributors, go check it out. We'll be launching that very soon today.
right now.
Right now.
Like, I could just press publish on Webflow right now.
Isn't it published?
No, but the joys of Webflow,
okay.
I can do that.
We can do that.
Okay. I'm getting a page not found right now. Okay, so you're gonna start sending some traffic there. Okay, so back to a queue here. Actually, this is Waroa Kawa is saying this a couple times. They want some part of Relume website for free. What can people get to try this? What is like the entry point for this? What's your trial period look like? Is there one? Like, how does that work? Early stage, if somebody wants to just explore and play around with this thing.
Yeah, for sure. We've got a 7-day trial, and that's something that allows you to obviously jump in, try for free. But we are also looking into the future of making a free version based on building a lot of things on a no-code stack. Has a lot of limitations from a product standpoint in terms of building features.
How dare you say that? You can build everything with no code. Come on now. Come on now.
Look, there's a few limitations.
I'm kidding.
A few limitations. Look, we're 90% no code.
There's like the no code purist out there that just like, well, sometimes code is really good.
Look, I love no code, and obviously we wouldn't be here without it. But my opinion on no code is like, you can get the 90%. You can build things to the 90%, and validate and get your ideas out there quicker. So that's why we love no code and always continue. But obviously, yes, there is some limitations. But that will enable us to create more of a free version based on X amount of copies, or so that's something we are looking into. But at the moment we just have a 7-day. We feel like that's plenty of time to jump straight in, use it. And the cool thing is with that, you keep these, like, there's no component. A lot of people ask about component ownership in terms of like, once the trial ends, can we still keep components? Like once it's in your Webflow project, it's in your Webflow project. You don't have to.
So for all you cheap fuckers out there, what he said was you can download the library for 7 days and download some components, and you can save those, and just pay the guys their money for a couple months. Like, come on, if you're going to use the library, it's super affordable.
We respect that. We respect the hustle.
Oh, look, 100%. It's something because I know I would do it. But look, the point is, you can go copy paste all of them right now. Sure. but we're focusing more on the job to be done on the app in terms of filtering and searching, because in the end of the day, you can have a big Webflow project with 650 components, but as you guys will probably, I don't know if anyone else has a big project like that, it's slow, defeats the purpose of speed, because then you're scrolling through pages. Because we had the master file, and as a fun fact, we actually considered just releasing the master file potentially as a product, in terms of speed, in terms of just getting things out there. Let's just release the Webflow project. But then when I was testing it, I remember internally, I was like, Adam, bro, like, I'm scrolling through so many components, I'm dying here. Like, it's defeated the purpose of what we're pushing for. So I feel like the actual app side of things, what we built on, shout out to MemberStack, because I think MemberStack's awesome, and JetBoost, is that, the JetBoost filtering that we use to, filtering that we use the search functionality. And I know we will look into attributes in the future. It wasn't out at the time.
You're speaking blasphemy over here.
Wasn't out at the time, but we will definitely.
They're going to start talking about flow base now.
That's right.
I'm shooting myself in the foot.
Start mentioning,
It wasn't out at the time, and we are looking to convert it over. But yeah, so the searching functionality piece of it is where we find ourselves, I guess, solving. So I feel like that. I don't know what we're answering now. But not free yet. But look, at the end of the day, we made it not free because we want to invest all our time into it. That's it. That's pretty much it. We want to invest all our effort and energy into it and keep building it. Hence the reason why we have a paid version.
Nice.
Yeah, and you're not paying just for the components. You're paying for the components and the workflow of using those components. Mm-hmm. So if you just want the components and you want a single full site and it's slow build, go ahead. But that's not really Relume Library. That's just the components of Relume Library. Relume Library comes with the search feature. It comes with all of these great workflow features that actually make you work faster, which, as we're seeing, is really the point of Relume Library. It's to help you get that end job complete.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on here. Simon says, hey, everyone. What's up, Simon? Our ClientFirst Bootcamp coordinator and ClientFirst extraordinaire. Shout out to Simon over there. Christian Schmidt is asking, how have you made it possible to copy components outside of Webflow and paste inside of Webflow? I don't think we can give up the secret sauce here, y'all. This is like,
look, it's in the end of the day, you can do that in Webflow, right? So it's just Webflow, you're able to copy and paste from two different Webflow projects. So it's using the same functionality that Webflow already have. That's pretty much it. So that's what I was saying before. That's the 10% that you sometimes need outside of no code to make things happen.
Turn it into the app, right? Turn it into that workflow experience. This is exactly. An add in the workflow. So you're paying for that work that was done to create that process. It's not easy. I mean, it's easy for the right person, but it's not. This is something that most people do not have access to. And maybe you have to hire somebody. You have to learn something for that. And that costs money. That's why Relume Library costs money.
Yeah. Let's see if there's anything up towards the top here. Nope. Aditya is saying, speaking the same language, facts. The problem I have with Webflow themes is that I'm just not used to that naming. But ClientFirst is something that's way easier to grasp, learn, and start using. 100%. You get into some projects, and even if it's a nice, well put together theme, you got to think, how did this person come up with the naming? What's their spacing system? How did they think and structure their global classes? Like, how is this thing going to impact whatever down the chain? And so, that speaking the same language comment that you made earlier, I think it was Dan, when you were talking about ClientFirst, makes a lot of sense here, because it makes it, and this is the whole point of ClientFirst, is to make it easier for larger teams to collaborate inside of a project, to set some kind of rules and a little bit of a framework for how you name and structure the content inside of your Webflow builds, so that it does become scalable for other people to come in, to add components, to know what's happening, to be working on separate pages, so that when Webflow gets a little better at collaboration and you can have multiple people inside of the same site, that you could theoretically be working on the same thing, and that all comes together, instead of having, this developer who does it this way and this other developer who does it that way. That's kind of the game and the goal here. So Aditya, good point there. Anybody thoughts on that?
No, I totally agree. It increases the learning curve too. Each time you're building using a different system, that's time. So I think, yeah, adopting client first for our library was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Partially because of that reason. Yeah.
Yeah, Pierre's saying, super dope. Looking forward to creating some components for the library. Keith Armstrong wants to know, are y'all rocking with Vegemite?
For sure, 100%.
Vegemite and avocado. That's the standard now. That's on toast.
That's it. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Albert Franklin saying the concept of no code, low code itself helps UI UXers to bring their designs into life. For developers, however, Relume gives us a chance to bring our ideas to reality. It's harder to become a designer. This is a really good point. And I don't think, a lot of folks who are coming into this space, especially in the world of Webflow, are creative types. We're designers, we're artists, we've been doing the visual stuff, and now we're trying to figure out how to break that code barrier. There's a lot of folks who are more technical that don't have that design side, and a library like Relume, Albert makes a really good point here, allows them to kind of come in and build the things they want to build, maybe start experimenting with that low-code stack with some integrations with Zapier, Integromat, whatever, without having to necessarily worry about what the front end looks like, and know that those components are going to be, kind of unified and look nice and be responsive, and not have to worry too much about all the little nuances that come with design. Which is a really good point there. Is that something y'all considered while building this? Is that like a use case that even crossed your minds, or is that just kind of something new that that Albert's bringing up here?
Yeah, I'd say it is sort of something that we considered. I guess we've been designing for a while, and to be able to give that, productize that, is something that we've always been trying to do, and I think we'll continue, especially with introducing some more themes, which will be more styled versions of the library. I think that will help a lot of non-designers as well build websites, and yet just be able to improve their overall visual communication of websites too, using the component library. So yeah, it's really nice to hear that, though, that it does give developers a chance to bring their ideas to life. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe.
It's a great point. Sometimes I don't consider myself a designer, and sometimes I really struggle just figuring out how should I present this idea? How should I lay out this content? So when you have this library in front of you where I can click FAQ sections and say, oh, here are all the options I have for FAQ sections. This one's the closest to what I want. Let me choose it.
Yeah.
To be able to go and do that, that could be hours of time just for getting your ideas on there. So yeah, that's a great comment from Albert. I really, really like that. I feel that one.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple questions that are kind of related here. Adrian Lexington is saying the subscription includes a membership too, doesn't it? Is that community growing? Are there tutorials or other skill sharing there? And somebody else, who else was it? Hans earlier was asking, are there tutorials for learning? So talk to me a little bit about what you get with Relume in addition to just the components. How is that community growing? What is the, how many people are using Relume right now? Talk to me a little bit about your ecosystem and your community that's growing here. What resources can people expect? How's that flourishing?
Yeah, for sure. So I think at the moment in our community on Slack, I think last time I checked was around 270 people in introductions. So assuming that's 271 to be exact right now. So that's a amount of currently users and people in our community, and there are a couple of trialing as well. People trialing as well. So at the moment, the community is growing, and it's just, I feel like the best thing we actually ever did on top of the membership is have the Slack group as well, because we feel like, again, we like to kind of build community up. It's just enabled us to be direct, straight to the guys, people using it. We can communicate ideas, features, announcements, and it's just a better way to build product. I love it. We haven't really built product like this ever before, so I feel like it's the future of building product. So yeah, on top of the membership, we've got our Slack group, which you can join. You don't have to be part of. You don't have to have a membership to join our Slack group. You can obviously join it without that. So yeah, and that's something that that's growing over time. But yeah, on top of the membership, that's pretty much the components. We'll be obviously always releasing new components every month. That's our goal. Monthly components. Component day is the first day of every month, and that's going to be hopefully turned into a fun day of component releasing. But yeah, that's pretty much the community at the moment. It's impactful, and that's the thing I love about it. They're not massive, we're not thousands and thousands, but it's just quality over quantity, and that's where I couldn't be, to be honest, I've never built it in this way before. And I thoroughly love and enjoy sharing our roadmap of what we're doing. That's honestly been the best part of what we've done with the library.
Nice. Yeah, and also the good thing about the Slack community too is everyone's many people in it are like willing to help out and jump in and answer some questions. Which is awesome, we love seeing that. Obviously, because it means less work on our end, but also because it's just really cool to see like an actual community effort to helping each other, which I think is a big upside to using Webflow. In terms of the tutorials, we are working on creating a tutorial or an overview of the library, each section, talking through that. That's in the works at the moment. So yeah, there will be like a Relume Library University
onboarding
sort of thing. Yeah, just onboarding and also just talking through like the anatomy of our components and some best practices, and also some styling ideas as well. So that's coming out. We're currently recording those.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean the functionality seems pretty straightforward. I think like learning Webflow is probably more important than learning how to use Relume. I think once you probably get real proficient with Webflow, the copy and paste and kind of exploring the Relume library will be a fairly simple process. But yeah, the educational content is always a good play. Greg Dolan saying, love the thoughts of helping developers with design. I'm totally more developer than design inclined, or I'm totally more developed than design inclined. Yeah, so maybe that's a more popular use case than we're giving credit for. Let's see, I wanted to bring this one up. Fernando comments saying, honestly, I don't see the point in confrontation, no code versus code. Yeah, I think it's inherent in the term no code, right? If I'm code and someone says no code, I'm like, well, look you, man, I'm here. You can't tell me get rid of it. And so like inherent in that branding of this movement is that like smack in the face, the developer world. And I think that's just bad positioning, but it's not going anywhere. This no code term is not going anywhere. It's becoming more and more prolific. I think low code is also growing in use. So yeah, definitely. I think that was an interesting question. I think on the, I don't remember what we were watching the day, but the difference between like the term no code versus what the movement actually is. And yeah, I think people who understand it like feel just like Fernando's saying here. But I think if you're not around it and you're just like a developer who are typically a little cocky because their IQ is a little higher and they're usually a little anyway, they start getting a little like, oh well, right? So anybody have thoughts on that? I don't want to open and not close that door without giving anybody a chance to chat.
I think the most dangerous people are the ones with that no code and they still use no code, so they can fill in the gaps. They can use no code to get 80% of the way there, and then fill in that 20%. That's super powerful. So the developers that are open to the idea of no code, again, have a lot of power at their hands, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, they should no code or looking down to no code, and I think that's changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
First, people with no code, the abilities, just knowing the other way around. I think it's contextual. It just depends on your situation. But yeah, most importantly, no code just helps you get off the ground and get things out there quickly, iterate, because the most important thing in the world, regardless of code or no code, is getting your product out to the customers for them to test it and use it, and then you get your feedback. That's purely the main goal. Like that's the mission that trumps all the code missions. It's just getting your product out there to get feedback, get customers, and iterate. And then obviously if that's a combination of the two, whatever it takes you to get your product out there quicker.
Yeah. Okay, two comments here. First one by Penny. It seems that Relume could be used for wireframing too, work out the layout with the client and then add the styling. And then Marino asks, have you thought of a mockup creator where Relume users can pick and change components to mock up their site on Relume before copy and pasting into Webflow?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea, Joe. I don't know how to respond to this right now. I'm going to toss this. I'm going to put Joe on the spot here. Joe, any thoughts on this?
Well, we're always experimenting with new tools, and sometimes you see them, sometimes we release them to the public, sometimes they never get seen. They get used once for their intended use, and they're done, or they don't finish development, or whatever. One of those is a mockup creator, something that allows you to pick components from a Webflow project, show them on the page, move sections up and down, and then save a version of that page, just of the static mockup version. And it was something that just didn't launch. It was supposed to launch with the ClientFirst docs. It never got to launch. We deprioritized it. And I thought maybe this could be used for something like Relume Library. Maybe we can help provide this technical support to help do cool things to people like Dan and Adam building these types of tools. So yeah, maybe there is a world where they come up with a plan for this mockup creator. We take most of what we've already built and just let them use this tech to continue using the system. We're all about Relume Library becoming the best it can be, because that's also going to bring up our initiatives with ClientFirst. Yeah. So right now, there's no official plans for this, but we've talked about it. We're thinking about it. So it's very possible this year you see something like a mockup creator that lets you properly do this before the copy paste.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Fernando's asking here, do they have a Discord channel or similar? I'll bring it up right here. They do have a Slack community that you can join. So if you go to library.relume.io and you scroll to the bottom of that page there, they do have a Slack channel that you can join and get involved with their community there. Let's see. Really interested to see how you apply the ClientFirst strategy, how you decide when to create a custom class and when to use a ClientFirst combo class to achieve a goal. Also, are these fluid? So I think probably not fluid responsive yet, because I think that's a pretty new rollout for some of this. But yeah, thoughts on answering Spencer's question about custom classes, etc.?
Yeah. I mean, you guys, Finsweet's put out some awesome documentation, which I think is necessary for people to read before they start building in ClientFirst. It's what we used to build the Relume library, got our heads around it, lots of practice, but yeah, I don't think it's possible to build what the ClientFirst, I guess, ecosystem without it. So yeah, just reading through the docs has helped big time in learning ClientFirst. And is this fluid? Are they referring to fluid responsiveness?
Yeah, I think that's probably...
Spencer? Yeah, Spencer. Yeah, so yeah, it is, because it's ClientFirst. It's yeah, you just copy and paste the code. It's definitely it definitely works with it. So
nice.
Another benefit of building on the ClientFirst ecosystem.
Right, that the fluid responsive add-on lets you add that fluid responsiveness on top of any properly built ClientFirst project. So as long as Relume Library is building correctly, which they are, you can just do your configuration for your responsiveness, copy that onto your build, and now your entire Relume library component project is fluid responsive. So yeah, that's another benefit of jumping on the tree of ClientFirst. As we release more things, as we release more updates, Relume gets to inherit those updates naturally, very naturally. So yeah, this is a real benefit. And Spencer, I'd also like to address the first part of this question, when to use a custom class. I would also say check out that documentation. There's really good examples about when to use and when not to use. We're about to release more documentation covering this. So we want to make this even more and more clear. But really the end goal comes down to, is it easy to use? Is it easy for someone to go into that project, understand it, and use it and edit it? And from what we hear in the community, Relume Library makes your job quicker. It's faster. It's easier. So they are naming correctly. I don't even have to look at the specific use case. People are using this, they're adopting it, and they're saying it's making everything faster. And that's really the heart of ClientFirst, giving this ability for people to jump in and just start using it and understand it. Yeah. So that's what you should think about when creating custom classes or combo classes. Is this making it easier to use and understand, or is it making it more difficult to use and understand?
Yeah. Here's a kind of a follow-up in the same realm. Have you guys incorporated accessibility, especially in components with buttons like navigation bars, etc.? So are these components accessible out of the box? Is there anything that needs to be done? I mean, I guess most components, as long as they're built nice, like I think there may be certain elements that you might need to, think about some accessibility stuff, but any thought given to accessibility on this library? How is that handled? What should people think about in that regards?
Yeah, so I guess we've been following your lead on this, but our library uses REMS, which helps with accessibility, and yeah, we've adopted ClientFirst, which does consider accessibility, and maybe Joe can talk more to that.
Yeah, I would love to. So, right, as long as you're following those guidelines, you're in the right direction for building accessible sites. There's always something that you can build in your site that needs more attributes to make it accessible or needs a certain element. There's no way to have something that comes completely out of the box fully accessible, because you may edit it, you may need to update it, and because of that, there's always things that you have to do. Because of that, we are going to continue building out accessibility with ClientFirst. So when we start releasing more docs about this, when we start releasing our attributes accessibility series, these are going to be huge add-ons that integrate with ClientFirst. So when we release that documentation, we're going to make sure people like Adam and Dan follow these new accessibility practices. Hey, if you have a pop-up that opens as a lightbox, you can now apply these attributes to the close button and the open button to make sure that it's keyboard navigation friendly. Or, hey, we now formalize the way that we do these tags. And this is because this is good accessibility practice. When we start releasing more of this information, Relume is going to start to integrate where it makes sense. So yeah, right now, Relume Library, ClientFirst, very accessibility driven, but we're just getting started. Nice. There's a lot more in plan for that.
Nice. Great. Nick Bedard is saying, I'm a ClientFirst native. I'm a recent Relume adopter. Love the connection. Follows up, the only issue I've had is the copy paste, Webflow renaming class names, and that's just a kind of everywhere thing. Someone was even saying that in ClientFirst, right? If you have a project and you copy it into another project, like you're going to get that happening. That's just a Webflow function. Maybe one day Alex will build something into the extension that eliminates the copy overwriting and it just matches names of components. But I think that's like a Webflow thing right now that I don't know how we get around in any easy way. Any thoughts on that, folks? I don't think there's a whole lot to.
No, it has come up quite a bit. It's one of those Webflow things.
Yeah.
This is we saw this question before. The Figma template version of Relume, is that available? Where can people find it?
Coming
So
soon.
no,
Coming soon.
it's not available
Okay.
yet.
That's right.
Yeah,
Got
it's
it.
coming soon.
Great.
Okay. Last few questions. I think they're talking about the mock-up thing. Yeah, that would be great. Started using this yesterday and immediately thought mock-up. Marino saying, did I just discover something huge for the community? It may seem that way, but yeah, the prototype's actually built well before this comment here. It was something that I don't know. Yeah, we'll see whether that becomes a real thing. Let's see. That's the best and maybe the only documentation in the Webflow world. I think she's talking about the ClientFirst.
The client. Yeah.
Yeah.
Christopher Coleman, Relume is an incredible resource. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. So I think,
Thanks,
yeah,
Chris.
we're well over an hour here. We're at an hour and 10. We don't have a hard cap on these timelines, but I think we're in a good place to kind of wind this down here. Any final thoughts? We'll put this last little thing on the screen and let people know where they can get it. Library.relume.io. Any final thoughts? We'll give both Adam and Dan just a second to close out, and then Joe, I'll do the same here. But Adam, any final closing thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, I guess if you guys are using the library, do join the Slack channel. We'd love to hear requests on components, feedback on it. How can we improve this? Many ideas came out of today as well, which is awesome. So it's good to hear some of those. And yeah, stay tuned. We're coming out with we're releasing some more components on February 1st. Coming out with some more tutorial videos. And there's more stuff in the works. We also are going to be releasing contributors today, so go check that out. It'll be library.relume.io/contributors. And yeah, it's been good. It's been fun, guys. So thanks for having us on.
Nice. Thanks, Dan.
Now I was going to say, just on top of what Adam's saying, look, we're excited. I'm personally most excited about just building everything, guys, from a community up. So, like Adam said, please, even if you're not in the library, join the Slack channel, because we want to keep building up insights. And the more insights we all collectively get, Finsweet, Relume, the more we combine and build better things. So the more input we get, the better things we create. I'm a big believer in that, and that's something that I think the biggest USP of Webflow versus anything that we've worked on from a web no code is the community. So, and I know people say, oh, community, but we actually mean it. So I feel like it's a powerful element, and just super excited to build the Relume library together with Finsweet, with ClientFirst, from a community-driven aspect. So I feel like that means that we just build better things.
Yeah.
And thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for coming on. I wanted to address John here. He asked this question. This is the second time he's asked it. I thought we addressed a little bit of this in the where do you see it in the future. So just real quick, we'll give you 1 minute on where do you see the library in 5 years, and then we'll let Joe share his closing thoughts.
Where do we see the library in 5 years?
The biggest component library of all no code. That's, again, 5 years is so long, who knows? But let's just say my biggest one is the biggest component library of no code resources or no code elements. That's my opinion. 5 years, who knows? I could be doing a lot of things.
Nice. Yeah, 5 years is a long time in this space.
Adam?
Yeah. 5 years is a long time in this space for sure. I think biggest component library could be a thing. I think I definitely think a community-driven effort to create resources for building websites at speed, and also designing websites at speed as well. So as a community. So I think that's what I'm mostly excited about.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pablo Cortez. Hopefully not all the websites look the same in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, that happened in the world of WordPress. Think about it. Think about how much of the web looks the same because all these WordPress themes and templates all look the same. So yeah, some of that stuff will happen. Joe, closing thoughts, final thoughts here as we wind down the show.
Yeah, want to thank the Relume team for coming on. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Dan. And really a big round of applause to the effort and the passion put into the product. It's really, really awesome to see what we built in ClientFirst being adopted for a product like this. It's amazing. So big thank you. I really enjoyed this show, and we are here to stand behind you and to help push Relume Library as much as possible.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this has been great. I think, I liked having the guests, Joe. I think on Thursdays, like this format's cool. Just having some conversations about some of this stuff. Let us know what you think in the comments. We've been streaming for a year now, 50 plus episodes. I think actually we're like at 80 episodes overall, 50 of the Growth Show. Thursdays, we kind of been experimenting. We've done things like critique. We've done the deep dives learning stuff. This is the first time we actually bring some guests on and do more of a discussion type format. So let us know in the comments what you'd like to see, like if you'd like to see more of this, who you might want us to have on the show. And then do us a favor. We're real close to 10,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So this is kind of our short-term goal by, let's say by the end of February. Let's see if we can get to 10,000 subscribers. I think we're like 700 shy of that. We average 400 to 500 subscribers in a 30-day period. So stretch goal. Let's see if by the end of February we can get to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber right now and you're watching this video, we ask that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, leave a like and comment on the video. That helps people see that. And other than that, we'll be back on Tuesday with another live stream. Thanks everyone for hanging with us. I think that's a wrap. Catch you later.
See ya.
See you guys.
Okay, and we're out.